last class we have seen the simplex algorithm and the simplex algorithm tabular form. Also we have seen how the tabular form is developed with the help of the algebraic form, means how a simplex method is solved algebraically. If we are solving problem through algebraic method, so definitely it will take a lot of time to solve a simple 2 by 2 problem. But if we are converting into the tabular form, then it can be solved in fraction of minutes. So it is better to solve with the help of tabular method. So just a recap of the last lecture. We have discussed how we can solve a simplex algorithm with the help any LPP with the help of simplex algorithm, right? So this was the example last time we have taken to demonstrate how we can solve a simplex method algebraically and how we can solve with the help of a tabular form. So in this problem we have seen, firstly we have to convert. There are certain set of rules by which we can solve the simplex algorithm. Any LPP problem that can be solved with the help of simplex method, simplex algorithm. That simplex algorithm have certain rules, or you can say the certain steps by which we can solve any LPP with the help of simplex method. The step number 1 is, firstly we have to convert inequalities into the equations by adding slack or surplus variable that depends upon the type of constraint we have. The constraint of less than and greater than type is slack variable is required. If the constraint of greater than and equal to type, then the surplus variable is required. And all these slack variable does not have any contribution in the objective function. Means if these slack variable are the part of the solution, then we can say there are some unutilized resources. Only the significance in the objective function, only the significance in the part of solution, right? So they just unutilized resources, we can say like this. And when we are starting to solve the problem with the help of this simplex method, the right hand side of the constant should always be negative. The meaning of right hand side should always be greater than positive means because in simple simplex method we always initiate problem by obtaining basic feasible solution. If the right hand side is negative, it indicates the solution is infeasible. So that's why always prefer, if in the right hand side of the constant there is a negative term, always make positive by multiplying with the help of -1. Just like this I can consider, suppose the problem is in this problem, you can say just suppose the constraint is written as 3x1 plus 2x2 is greater than or equal to, or you can say not greater than or equal to, you can say like less than equal to -12, right? Another constraint of this problem is x1 plus x2 is less than equal to 5, right? Now there are only two variable problem. So first step of any simplex method, we have to convert inequalities into the equations. Whenever we are converting inequalities into the equation, we require slack and surplus variable because the constraint of less than type. So here is the slack variable is required. So in slack variable, so I can write this equation. If I am converting into the equation, x1 plus x2 plus s1 is equal to 5, and that variable is known as slack variable. Again, I can write 3x1 plus 2x2 plus s2 is equal to -12. Now the number of variable become x1, x2, s1, s2 is greater than equal to 0. These are the restriction, and this is the non-negativity restriction. Non-negativity restriction. Right? If I'm trying to solve this problem to find out the initial basic feasible solution, how can I obtain? There are number of variable 4, number of equation is 2, n minus m representing 4 minus 2 become 2. This is the known basic variable. Means there are two known basic variables, right, and two basic variables. If I am taking basic variable, known basic variable equal to 0, means x1 is equal to 0 to x2 is equal to 0. So what is the value of this? I will get s1 is equal to 5 and s2 is equal to -12. Now keep in mind, now you can observe this value. As soon as we get S2 is equal to minus 12, that indicating that violating this non-negativity restriction. If S2 is minus 12, indicate that violates the non-negativity restriction, because non-negativity restriction says all variable must be greater than equal to 0. If not satisfying, it means that solution is not the feasible solution. If we are not getting the basic feasible solution, we cannot tabulate it, and we are unable to solve with the help of simple simplex algorithm. We can solve by another way, but with the help of simple simplex algorithm, we are unable to solve it. So that's why the meaning of this statement is that in the right hand side, the constraint must be, the value must be positive, so that we can proceed to find out the basic feasible solution. Right? I hope it is clear to everyone. Next step is, this is the problem we have converted. Last time also converted. That's why I'm not focusing much on it. So the step number 4, we have to start with the help of simple basic feasible solution. After getting the basic feasible solution, we have to find the number of, we have to iterate the problem towards the optimality. Right? Step by step, iteration by iteration, we are getting better value than the previous value, and finally there is a termination criteria, and we will get the better value, means the optimal value at a certain corner points. Just like I have already told you, how we decide the number of basic variable and basic variable, that is simple. N is always represent the number of variables in the problem, number of variables, and M is representing number of equations, number of equations, right? And N minus M, we have to take N minus M, that will the non-basic variable. Other than this variable is known as basic variable. So firstly, we have to decide the how many basic variables, and after that we have to decide how many non-basic variable, and we will obtain basic variable with the help of non-basic. By fixing non-basic variable to the 0, we will get the basic variable, and that solution will be the basic feasible solution, and we can tabulate that basic feasible solution. After tabulating, we can iterate towards the optimality. So there are certain rules by which we can obtain the optimality, right? So this way we can convert, and this way we can find out the optimal solution. So these are the steps how we can obtain a basic feasible solution. After getting the basic feasible solution, how we can iterate towards the optimality, right? So in previous example, we have seen that how we are obtaining with the help of tabular method, how we are obtaining the optimal solution, iteration by iteration, iteration by iterations, right? Firstly, we have to decide the key column. On that basis, the entering variable is decided, and then we have to decide the key row. On that basis, the leaving variable, then the pivot element. So by doing the matrix operation and by iteration, we will get the optimal value. So last time we have discussed a problem related to this LPP, right, and solve with the help of the simplex method. This was the problem, and we have solved it already, and we write the tabular form. We have seen how we can write a basic feasible solution in the tabular form. This side is the basic variable, and these are the coefficient of basic variable. This side, these are the constraint. These are the constraint equation, and these are the coefficient of objective function, that the value of Zj, and that is the Cj minus Zj. And that Cj, on the basis of Cj minus Zj, firstly we have to decide the key column, and this term theta represents, on the basis of theta we decide which variable will leave from the basic variable table, and this Cj minus Zj also indicates the termination. When all the value of Cj minus Zj is either 0 or negative for the maximization problem, that will be the termination criteria for a LPP problem, right? So we have seen already this method, right? Now we have to extend this method to another approach. Suppose we have seen this problem. So these are some basic simplex method, how we can divide a simplex method, or how the stages of the simplex method can be categorized. Initialization, right? Definitely there is initialization. Means algorithm start with a basic feasible solution. Right hand side values of the constant is always positive, means non-negative, so that we are able to obtain a basic feasible solution. After that, there are iterations. Number of iterations is required that depend upon the problem to problem. And algorithm goes through some intermediate iterations so that we are able to get the optimal value. Termination, and definitely simplex method has a termination criteria. Once we reach to the optimal solution, then we can terminate, right? So these are some basic stages of the simplex method. Now, so with simplex method, definitely this method is better than the graphical as well as you can say the algebraic method, but every method has some limitations of some problems in it. But with respect to these problems, still this method is far give the best result in comparison of others, right? So that is most powerful tool to solve any LPP. So what are the issue with the simplex method? The main issue is that do all linear programming problems have optimal solution? The question is that all linear programming problems have optimal solution. It is not necessary all the problem has, or you can say have the optimal solution. Sometimes what happens, the problem is not framed properly, or there is a conflict and inconsistency in the constraint, so the problem has infeasible solution. So if you are solving problem with the help of simplex method, it does not have any guarantee that the obtained solution will be the optimal solution. Sometimes the problem is not framed properly or not transformed properly from the description, so there is a possibility that the problem has infeasible or unbounded solution. Another question arises that does the simplex algorithm always terminates by providing the optimal solution? The second issue with this simplex method is that does the simplex algorithm always terminates by providing the optimal solution? So not always. There may be a possibility the method shows the termination, but still there are further iteration required to get the optimal solutions. That type of solution we can say in case of multiple optimal solution, or in case of degeneracy that happened, right? So now another extension of this method, that is known as the big M method. And this big M method is extension, you can say that just extension of simplex method. When this big M method is used, the important thing is understand that when we can use this big M method, right? Suppose the problem is like this. Suppose this problem belongs to the maximization, right? And the constraint of the problem are 2x1 plus x2 is greater than equal to 2, x1 plus 3x2 is less than equal to 3, and there are non-negativity restriction that are x1 is greater than 0 and x2 is greater than 0, right? So if the problem like this, so we can say, okay, we are trying to start with the help of simple simplex method. Then we will face some difficulty, unable to solve with the help of simple simplex method. Then why we are choosing this method? Firstly, we have to look if we are solving this problem with the help of simple simplex method, even after we are unable to proceed further. So what are the difficulties faced by the simple simplex method, so that the another extension is known as big M method is required. So I am going to solve with the help of simple simplex method, and then look what are the difficulties. We are unable to get the basic optimal solution if we are solving with the help of simple simplex method. So then we have to move big M method. Then I will start the big M algorithm, right? So suppose these are the maximization problem and these are the constraint, okay? So just convert into the constraint into the equation. The simple simplex algorithm first step is convert inequalities into the equations. So we can convert 2x1 plus x2, and this constraint of greater than type, the first constraint is greater than type. If the constraint is greater than type, then we have to use surplus variable. Surplus variable is used when the constraint of greater than type means, okay, This is the left hand side. This is the right hand side. Now the left hand side is greater than the right hand side. If we want to equate both, then we have to reduce something. Just like example, if this is 5 and this is 4, and it is clearly indicated 5 is greater than 4. If I want to keep this 5 is equal to 4, then I have to minus 1. So then you can say 4 is equal to 4. So that's why we have to subtract a variable that is known as surplus variable. That's why it is known as surplus variable. Now we can equate is equal to 2. These are the constant of less than type, so select variable is required. x1 plus 3x2 plus s2 is greater equal to 3. Another one is x2 plus s3 is equal to 4. Right? And the number of non-negativity restriction become x1, x2, s1, s2, s3, all greater than equal to 0. Right? Now the second step. In second step, there is no negative sign in the right hand side of the constraint. All are positive. It's okay. In third step, we have to decide the number of basic and non-basic variables. How we can decide number of non-basic variables? Now we can easily observe n is the number of variable. How many number of variable now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number of equation now? Number of equation is 3. So number of non-basic variable? n minus m. That is 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. These two are the non-basic variable. The meaning of non-basic variables, we are fixing value to the 0 to get the basic feasible solution. So we are taking non-basic variable 0. We are assuming, suppose the non-basic variable is x1 and x2 is equal to 0. These are, we are choosing, these are the non-basic variable. If these are the non-basic variable, so what is the value of basic variable with respect to this? S1 is equal to minus 2, S2 is equal to 3, and S3 is equal to 4. Now we can see clearly here, S1 is equal to minus 2. S1 is equal to minus 2 indicates, or you can say violates, the non-negativity restriction. Means this solution is not the initial basic feasible solution. Solution of the problem can be any solution which satisfy all the constraint and non-negativity restriction. If this solution is not satisfying non-negativity restriction, it means it is not the basic feasible solution, because it is clearly violating the non-negativity restriction. If it is violating the non-negativity restriction, it is not the feasible solution. And the big quality of simplex method problem is initiate or start, the starting condition of the problem. The problem must have the basic feasible solution. Then we can tabulate it and move further improvement by doing iteration. So if the problem not has the basic feasible solution, it means this problem cannot be solved by the simplex method. So that's why another method is introduced, that is known as Big M method. So in Big M method, generally this Big M method is used when the constraint of greater than or equal to type. If any of the constraint is greater than or equal to type, then always use Big M method. That problem cannot be solved with the help of simplex method. Okay. Big M method is used if any of the constraint is greater than and equal to type. In this problem, we can see there is only one constraint is greater than and equal to type. If the constraint is greater than equal to type, it means this problem can be solved with the help of Big M method. What are the steps in the Big M method? What are the steps? So only the one step you have to change. Just like this, if I am obtaining the basic feasible solution, the entire algorithm is same as the simplex method. Only to find out the basic feasible solution, there are some changes. means we have to introduce an artificial variable. Other than if I am comparing with simple simplex and big M method, only the change is we have to introduce another variable that is known as artificial variable, so that I am able to get the basic feasible solution. Only the purpose is that, to get the initial basic feasible solution. So how I can introduce a variable that is known as the artificial variable? Okay, now I am solving this problem with the help of big M method. If I am using this method, how I will proceed to solve it to get a basic feasible solution? Okay. Okay. Now the problem is 2x1 plus x2, because the constraint of greater than type, though definitely the surplus variable is used. Also, I have to introduce a variable that is known as artificial variable. Is equal to 2. Another are the less than, so it is clearly can be written x1 plus 3x2 plus s2, select variable is equal to 3, x2 plus s3 is equal to 4. And now the number of variable become s1, s2, s3, a, x1, x2, all greater than equal to 0. That is the non-negativity restriction. Now how will I write the objective function? The objective function z of the maximization type will be 3x1 minus x2 plus 0 s1, because this slack and surplus variable does not contribute in the objective function, plus 0 s2 plus 0 s3, right? Because s1 is negative, where if I put negative sign, does not has any meaning because it has a 0 coefficient. Another one, a. How I will write the artificial variable in the objective function? This artificial variable does not influence the objective function, means does not contribute in the objective function. So that's why I have to choose a value with negative sign minus ma. Why I am taking this value? This m is representing big, very big value, big M up to infinite. M is representing big M. Big M means very big value. This value moved to the infinity. That's why it is known as big M method. So artificial variable always introduced with respect to this M in the objective function, and I am taking this value negative. Keep in mind the problem belongs to the maximization, and I am taking minus M. Minus M is representing if the positive M is a very big value, so minus M is representing very less value. Means does not affect the objective function. So that's why always for the maximization problem always write with negative sign. That's why I introduce with minus me. And these artificial variable also does not contribute in the objective function, does not influence the objective function. The only significance of the artificial variable, so that we are able to get the basic feasible solution if the constraint of greater than equal to type. The only purpose of the artificial variable, so that we are able to get the basic feasible solution. Because after getting the basic feasible solution, we can proceed for the further iterations, right? So that is the basic feasible solution. Now, how we are getting? N is number of variable. How many number of variable now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And number of equation now? 3. Number of non-basic variable? N minus M means 3. If we are taking 3 non-basic variables, the meaning of non-basic variables means we are fixing to the 0. If we are taking 3 variables just like x1, x2, s1 is equal to 0. These are the non-basic variable. By fixing non-basic variable to 0, we are getting the value of basic variable. What is the basic variables? A is equal to 2 from first equation, S2 is equal to 3 from second equation, and S3 is equal to 4 from third. This is the equation number 1, this is the equation number 2, constraint number 2, constraint number 3. From first equation we are getting, after putting the value x1, x2, s1 is equal to 0, we are getting A is equal to 2, S2 is equal to 3, S3 is equal to 4. And the value of Z is equal to 0. The value of Z is equal to 0. Right? I am not writing minus sign. It is very minute value. Does not influence anyhow, does not influence. Right? So that is the basic feasible solution. Basic feasible solution. The solution obtained here is basic feasible solution. Now we can tabulate it. Now the solution, the basic feasible solution can be tabulated, and after tabulating, by doing the iteration to getting the better value with the help of simple x, now we can just solve the problem just like the simple x method. Now the problem can be solved with the help of simple x method. The only became contribution so that we are able to obtain the basic feasible solution. So now if we are converting into the tabular form, the tabular form will be like this, just like we have converted into like. These are the objective, this is the objective function, these are the constraint. In the previous slide I have already converted, and these are the restrictions. Right? So this is the tabular form of basic feasible solution. These are the basic variables. By obtain these basic variables obtained by keeping non-basic variable to the 0, A1, S2, S3, and these are the coefficient in the objective function, that is minus m, 0, 0, right? And these are the coefficient of objective function, and these are the constraint. First constraint is 2x1 plus x2 minus s1 plus a1, and 0 s2, 0 s3 is equal to 2. Right hand side is representing 2. Second constraint is 2x1 plus 3x2. There is no s1, there is no m, there is s2 plus s2 is equal to 3. Third constraint was 0x1 plus x2, no s1, no a1, no s2 plus s3 is equal to 4. After that, we are writing the value of zj. How we can write the zj? I have already mentioned how we can solve this tabular form. Zj is written as ei into aij, algebraic sum of ei into aij. This value is representing ei, and these values are aij. Means this value is a11, this value a12, this value is a13, this value is a14, just like this. We can proceed into a tabular form. So how we are obtaining zj? 2 into minus m, so minus 2m, plus 1 into 0, plus 0 into 0. So it become minus 2m. 1 into minus m, 3 into 0, 1 into 0 become minus m. Continuity. Similar way we can calculate all the values. After that, we have to write Cj minus Zj, and Cj minus Zj, this Cj is representing the coefficient of the objective function. So 3 minus 2m become 3 plus 2m, minus 1 plus m, minus 1, minus m, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Right? On the basis of Cj minus Zj, we decide the key column. How we decide? The maximum value of, if the problem belongs to the maximization, then we have to choose the key column on the basis of maximum value of the Cj minus Zj row. The maximum value in the Cj minus Zj row is 3 plus 2m. So it means that is the key column. That is the key column. Key column indicates the variable in the key column will be the entering variable into the basic variable table. And which variable will leave from the basic variable table? It is decided on the basis of key row. How we decide the key row? On the basis of theta. How we can obtain that theta? Right hand side divided by the coefficient of key column. It is the right hand side and the coefficient of key column 2y2 is equal to 1. 3y1 is equal to 3. 4y 0, no need to write. If the coefficient of the key column, anytime if the coefficient of the key column is negative or 0, no need to write the value of theta, because it does not has any significance in that, because that value cannot be has any significance, that cannot be leave from the basic variable table. So that's why if the value is in key column is either negative or 0, do not calculate theta for that. Do not calculate theta for that value. Just like here, the value in the key column element is 0, we are not calculating theta, because this row will never be, means this variable will never be the leaving variable, right? So on the basis of minimum theta value, what is the minimum theta value? 1. So it is the key row. So on the basis of key row, it is decided this variable a1 will leave. A1 will leave and x1 will enter. Means key column, on the basis of key column, entering variable is decided. On the basis of key row, leaving variable is decided. In next iteration, a1 will leave from here, from the basic variable table, and x1 will enter, right? And another thing, just like it is the key column and it is the key row, and we have to see the intersection element. The intersection element is this, represented also with blue color. It is known as pivot element. In next iteration, this pivot element must be 1, and other elements of the key column must be 0. In next iteration, by applying the matrix operation, this pivot element must be 1, converted into the 1, and other element in the key column becomes 0, must be 0. Just like this 1 must be 0, this 0 is already 0, no need to convert into 0. So in next iteration, we will see this become 1 and this becomes 0 and 0. This way we have to form the matrix operations by applying the matrix operations. So we can see easily the same basic feasible solution is here. Now we are obtaining the value just like this. You can observe here. This value become 1, this value become 1, this value becomes 0, this value becomes 0. How we are getting this value is 1? Just divided by 2. This is, suppose this is the row number 1, this is row number 2, this is row number 3. So how we are getting this value? Just R1 divided by 2, because in the next iteration this value, the pivot element must be 1. So how it can be 1? By dividing 2. So we have divided by 2, 1, 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 0, 0, 2 by 2 become 1. In the next iteration, this value, in the next step, this value must be 0. And how this value can be 0? If suppose R1, suppose R2 minus, and this equation is suppose representing small r1. Small r1. R2 I am taking from this equation. This is the R2. And this is small r1 I am taking from here. That is small r1. Means in matrix operation, always apply operation from other than the pivot element row. Whenever we are making 0 in the matrix, always apply operation other than the pivot element row, because it is the matrix property that if I apply this operation from this R1, I have to multiply by 2, because 2 is divided by this equation. That is the matrix property. So that's why always apply matrix operation other than the pivot element row. Just like here, I have applied R2 minus small r1. If I applied this R1 minus R2, so I have to multiply by 2 as well, because I have already divided by 2. So to avoid this complexity, always apply operations on the pivot element, not by the pivot element row. Always keep in mind, this is incorrect way to write. So if I apply this R2 minus R1, R2 is here and R1 is here. So you can easily 1 minus 1, 0. 3 minus 1 by 2 become 5 by 2. 0 minus half become half. 0 minus half minus half. 1 minus 0, 1. 0 minus 0, 0. And 2 minus 1 become, and this is, sorry, 3 minus 1 become 2. And in this element is already 0. No need to make 0. Already is there. So we have to write this equation again. And again we have to repeat the same procedure to find out the next iteration. It is the iteration number 2nd. This is the first iteration to get the basic feasible solution. That is the iteration number 2. The same procedure we have to follow to get the optimal solution. And another thing, whenever we are solving a problem with the help of big M method, once the artificial variable leaves the basic variable table, it will never be the part of basic variable table. Means, just like in this problem, this artificial variable has been leave. Now there is no artificial variable, right? Now this artificial variable will never be the part of this. Once the artificial variable leave the basic variable table, it will never re-admitted into the basic variable table again. Never will repeat it. So means you can say you can cut this column. No need to solve for this column. In further steps, no need to calculate this column because that column never be the part of the solution. Because artificial variable will never be entered into the basic variable table. So we can eliminate it. We can eliminate this column. No need to further solve it. Right? So always keep in mind. So again we can see the Cj minus Zj value. Now we can see the most positive value is 3 by 2. So it is the key column. And these are the elements of the key column. We are getting theta. And this is negative. This is 0. No need to calculate theta for that, because that will not be the entering leaving variables. So here we can see this is the leaving, that is the key row. So here is this is the pivot element. So in next iteration, this pivot element must be 1 and other than element of the pivot must be 0. Means this must be 0. This is already 0. So we can see the next iteration. In next iteration, we are obtaining this value is 1. So this value is 1 by applying the matrix operation. What is the matrix operation? Just we have to multiply with this is equation is R2, this equation is R1 and this equation is R3. If we are applying this operation, we are getting this value. Now we have to find this value is 0. We have to obtain in the next iteration this value must be 0. How will obtain this value must be 0? We have to apply operation from R1. Suppose this is small r2, this is small r1, this is small r2, this is small r3. Right? So now we have to apply. How we can apply? Just we have to multiply with, suppose in this equation we have to make it 1, or how we can make 1 by multiplying by minus 2. Minus 2 into r1 minus r1 minus this r2. If we are applying this matrix operation, we will obtain this equation. And there is no need to apply any operation here already because this element is already 0. And we will obtain, after doing this exercise, we will obtain this and this. And now we can see the value of Cj minus Zj. Now we can see all elements of Cj minus Zj is either 0 or negative. That is the termination criteria of any simplex method. If all elements of Cj minus Zj row is either negative or 0 for maximization problem, it means we have reached to the optimal solution. So what is the optimal solution? The value of Z is 9. The value of x1 is 3. The value of s1 is 4. The value of s3 is equal to 4. Right? So that is the basic optimal solution. Means x1 is equal to 3, s1 is equal to 4 and s3 is equal to 4 and x2 is equal to 0 because there is no x2 into the solution part. At the time of solution, x2 is not the part of basic variables, that is why x2 is equal to 0 and the value of z is equal to 9. That is the optimal solution. That is the optimal solution. Now we can see, observe, in optimal solution there are slack and surplus variable, and these variable does not has any contribution. What is the meaning of these variable? These are the part of the solution, just representing these are the unutilized resources. If they are the part of the solution, they are representing these are the unutilized resources, right? So this way we can solve any big M algorithm. Thank you.